it. Okay, so like the title says, I want to dive really into some gut health basics. There's a lot of intangibles with gut health. It seems to be this big thing. And when people think they know gut health, they talk about kombuchas and probiotics, and it really just shows how little they do know about gut health, right? The big focus with what we do with everything is really trying to find the root cause of the problem rather than just another patch fix. And to be honest, adding in probiotics or kombucha or kimchi or something is not gut health. It's simply adding in fermented foods, probiotics and things to help the gut if we've already got a healthy bacteria. So if we don't, which a lot of people don't, it's only going to make the system worse. And if we've got something like SIBO or bacterial overgrowth in the wrong areas, then simply it's going to increase the problem rather than really, again, find the root cause. So what I want to go through is really just going to be a lot more actionable and steps you can actually put into process, things that you can actually will help you move forward and will actually make sense, right? Because a lot of the gut health stuff, to be honest, is just regurgitated without really understanding how stuff works, right? If the gut health or the gut lining, sorry, is compromised and those walls start to open up and we get a lot more toxins in the body, we have a real problem, okay? So without diving into the science of all that stuff, it's really just, it's allowing a lot more toxins into the body, okay? And if we have a lot more toxins in the body, things don't function as well. We're not as mentally sharp. We're not as recovered. We don't digest food as well. Right, we let a lot of food pass through, but we don't absorb the nutrients from that food, right? So we're thicker, we're less recovered, we're slower, and everything else, it's not so good. So it's pretty clear that if you want a high level performance, you want a good amount of energy, you just want to feel good, right? Mood comes into this lot. 90% of your serotonin production, which is making much of that feel good hormone, is made in your gut. 90%, right? So very, very large majority of that. 70% of your immune system, right, is going to be compromised in the gut. So if you feel like you're constantly getting sick or you feel like you're on the edge of being sick, this is certainly something to pay attention to, okay? And obviously gut health is an area that I've really made my focus only really over the last, it's been on my radar for a decade or so, but it's really made only my main focus over the last 3 or 4 years, because I was working as a PT. I was doing a lot of training side of things and really optimizing that aspect. But as with a lot of the clients we work with now, they're busy, they're trying to hit certain projects, or just the general obligations of life. And if you don't have that base sorted, right, we don't have a platform in which we can actually respond, recover, and move forward, progress from some level of exercise training or even a nutrition plan or diet plan, we need to make sure we have a healthy base, because people can lose weight and then they put it back on really quickly, right? They can build muscle. Actually, building muscle is a bit different, but dropping weight and then putting it back on. So if you yo-yo like this, or if you've tried to drop weight and it's been really, really resistant, this is why gut health is really, really important. Because if we don't have that platform, either we drastically have these massive changes in our weight, we probably have poor energy throughout the day, it's probably up and down as well, we probably get sick a lot, right? So that's one side. Or the other thing is, it doesn't matter what we do, we're just resistant to change. Our body doesn't want that weight to budge. We're not able to drop excess weight no matter how hard we try. So a lot of that comes down to gut health and the next steps that come with that, whether that be liver stress and a high toxic load, whether that be leaning on other hormones that are not functioning at its best. So making sure that we start with the gut is a really, really smart move, and hence why we do talk about this a lot, is if you don't fix the gut, then a lot of these other areas are just not working and not functioning at a high level. And it doesn't matter. It's either things move way too fast, you don't really have control over it, and you're constantly dipping up and down, you're getting sick, your energy's all the show, or two, it just doesn't move at all. So both are kind of annoying. We want to find how we can get your body healthy, get something back in the middle. Okay. So hopefully that's good for you. If you want to dive in, give me a thumbs up, check a comment below. It'd be great to see that you're actually joining. And I simply just want to go through 5 main action points that will help you today to really move forward from here. Okay. So I'll bring it up on the screen and we'll dive in. So this is a gut health cheat sheet that I've actually set up for a bit of a giveaway. So if anyone wants this, it's a couple of steps. If you want access to this, simply comment gut health cheat sheet below, okay? And I can just send it through to you, all right? Or we'll get someone on our team too. But essentially, this will walk you through the steps. I'm going to go in a bit more detail today, but essentially that'll allow you to have that base, have some nice reminders to help you move forward, all right? So these are some really simple steps. So the first one I want to go through is simply drinking more water. Okay, really making sure that we can get things working. Water is really, really important, right? Again, most people think, yeah, drink more water. But the problem is, and most people know that their their body is comprised of, it depends on different organs, but somewhere around that 60 to 70% water, right? We're more water than human. So trying to make sure that we can hydrate more helps for a lot of different reasons. One, on a very simple level, if the more hydrated you are, the less cravings you have, right? If you're having cravings and you're looking for something sweet, simply have a good amount of water, and you'll notice that they really start to go away. So a lot of the time we're not hungry, we're just dehydrated. Okay, so first step. Second part, that is when we are able to get a lot more water, specifically in the morning, right? It's first thing in the morning, we should get in, say, 500 mil, 750 mil. We want to really be able to flush out the organs. We want to make sure that we can, it allows really get sort of move some of these toxins along, but it's also just hydrating these cells and allow things to function properly. It does actually, I think it really will make a big difference down to a genetic level in making sure how do those genes express throughout the day? How are things functioning and firing? We want to make sure we're hydrating and the cells are in a healthy state to be able to work as they should throughout the day. All right. The second one that we have on this list is going to be breathe. And this is, again, this might sound high in the sky for you, but really it's a huge topic that I guarantee over the next, say, 5 years, if people were doing things right, maybe 10 if they're slow, will be a huge part or conversation that people are having around performance, because it's something that is obviously very easy to utilize. It's right there. You don't have to pick it up. It's your own body. So that in itself is helpful. But when you're able to really take in the understanding of how much it controls, which one of the key aspects is your autonomic nervous system, both your parasympathetic and your sympathetic state, simply meaning sympathetic is your fight and flight stress response, parasympathetic is your calm, rest and digest. Okay, so knowing that your breath is one of the key core elements of this, and both one of the easiest ways to manipulate it, right? So either get into a high stress state or to calm down more of the time into a calmer state and make sure that things are actually functioning. Because most people are hyperventilating all day or mildly hyperventilating, not all the time, but they're, most people's breath rate is between say 17, 20 or higher, when we really want to be between that 10 to 14. So getting a conscious awareness of our breath first, making sure we're breathing through our nose, making sure we're getting some sort of diaphragmatic contraction and expansion, rather than this really shallow breathing through our chest, breathing through our mouth, and not getting the long, deep breaths makes a huge difference to this constant state of stress throughout the day, right? If you're angry, if you're stressed, I guarantee your breathing change too. So if you're able to bring this conscious awareness back to your breathing, start there and be able to simply get that and getting that movement and being able to come back to that. We did a huge training with our private clients the other day on this, diving into understanding it's more about carbon dioxide levels rather than necessarily the oxygen. Oxygen kind of stays relatively well modulated, and getting an idea of certain techniques as well, whether it's box breathing, where it's just changing the flow. So if you breathe in and really emphasize breathing in, you're actually going to increase your energy. If you blow out and you really calm things down, well, if you you slow things down on the way out, I've already said it, you're going to calm that system down. So getting into nice habits around that, although that seems kind of random, the biggest thing here is, when we're talking about gut health, is improving digestion, right? So if you're in a high stress state, if you're feeling all freaked out, stressed out, then or even, that sounds dramatic, but most people are just in that state all the time, and that's become their new normal. So if we're able to use that breathing to calm things down and get back to a low and controlled state at, say, every meal, then we're in a fantastic spot to be able to improve our digestion and therefore our overall gut health in general. Okay. This third one here to dive into, again, this is why this is such a holistic topic in nature, and we dive into training and making sure we optimize when and how we train, is this idea of movement or exercise, right? So a lot of people, when they're trying to drop body fat, it's all about working harder. It's about doing more, sweating, puffing, all that good stuff. But what we tend to find is a lot of people are doing too much of the wrong exercise and not enough or at all of the right stuff. So what I mean by that is we tend to get a fair amount of circuit classes in, HIIT classes, CrossFit classes, whatever, right? Where it's very sort of high energy. You're trying to get a sweat on, you jump around, you're doing that stuff. Now, besides the fact that if you're over 40, your joints are just not going to like you. Like, it's just not a very smart move. Most people, when you're 20 and you jump around, you want exercise to not feel like exercise. I understand that works, but sometimes. But what we're looking at is trying to make sure that the type of exercise we do coincides and is helpful, complements our lifestyle, okay? A lot of the guys we see are type A personalities. They're high functioning. There's a lot going on in their day. So adding more stress in the form of workouts, in the form of spin classes and HIIT classes and circuits, is simply the same type of stress that's just fatiguing the body as the stress of this high functioning day. So being able to look at things like walks, trying to look at things which is more calming of an activity, but then also things like our weight training, and really utilizing this as an asset to be able to create that high level of stimulus within a muscle, but not get so much of a systemic stress on the body, if that makes sense, right? If we can lower that systemic stress on the body, we're going to lower inflammation, we're going to lower that overall stress response, and in turn, this is going to allow us to help our digestion, allow our overall recovery, and really be able to, at a core level, our gut health as well. Okay, so being able to control that stress is going to directly impact how healthy that gut and how healthy that base really is. Okay, any questions on that? I'm more than happy to dive in deeper. Okay, so next part of this is, when should I eat around training? This is really where it ties a bit more together. Is our body is, again, like I said, either in a sympathetic state or a parasympathetic state. One being sympathetic is your fight and flight, being parasympathetic is your rest and digest, your calmer state. So knowing that we only want to be in a calm state when we're eating, knowing that exercise is going to put us in a stress state, things like a protein shake post-workout, or trying to get in a bunch of food before you go do the class, like cramming in lunch and then going to do the HIIT class, is terrible for your digestion, right? And when I say digestion and gut health today is going to be a little bit of overlapping, because if your digestion's not working and it's causing an inflammatory response, it's clearly going to affect your gut health. Okay, so getting an idea of around training, giving yourself a good amount of time to digest food. You should not feel like you're sitting there with a full stomach when you go to train, right? Your body's just going to be working so hard and is not going to be able to break that food down properly. Okay, and then also post-training as well, being able to give yourself at least 30 minutes before you do eat. Okay, so really, really important stuff there. I hope that's helpful and hope that's useful so far. Next part to that is going to be simply chew more. Okay, so like I said, this is the digestion aspect and making sure that if we are inhaling food, and or even worse yet, is trying to have water and food together and using the water to flush the food down because you can't be bothered chewing, is one of the biggest reasons I see a lot of IBS. I see a lot of irritable bowel or some sort of inflammation in the gut, is because they're not taking the time to slow down and eat. Okay, and again, that doesn't sound like a very sexy topic, but it's focusing on the stuff that actually matters. A probiotic or a kombucha isn't going to help at all if you're not able to chew your food. Okay, so be present when you're eating. Don't be in front of the computer. Don't be trying to have a business meeting. Stop trying to inhale it before you have someone come through the door. Like, slow down, ideally get outside, whatever, and just really give yourself a minimum 15 minutes to actually chew your food, slow things down. Okay, and then the last one here that we want to dive into is simply going to be, I'll bring it up on here. Oh, sorry. It's going to be simply replace problem foods. Now, this is a key foundation that we start with literally in week 1, week 2, depending on the client, around improving their gut health, improving their energy, optimizing their body in general, which is going to be identifying the food groups that are going to be inflammatory, things that are causing issues. A lot of the time, these are unknown. So it's bringing awareness to that and realizing that the fact that they're congested, they've got constant allergies, they've got low energy, their breathing is poor, their joints are sore. So many of these things come back to underlying allergies, intolerances, or some sort of response to foods that they're eating that they're not even aware that is causing a response. Okay, so trying to really bring this back and understanding that we want to have a healthy relationship with food, right? We want to make sure we're not feeling like we're constantly restricting food, but we want to make sure that we're dropping body fat or we're progressing in the right direction with our own body composition, own weight loss goals. To do this, we have to make sure the foods we are eating are agreeing with our body, that we feel good, that we're functioning and firing, and that at a deep cellular level, our body's actually being able to feel clean and function the way it should. If you're eating foods that are constantly causing sluggishness, slowing you down and causing this inflammatory response in the body, then simply dropping food down and down is always going to push you back into a corner. Okay, so rather than simply looking at thermodynamics of food and trying to count your calories and drop things down, look at how we can improve the health as an individual and really increase that overall functioning and firing. Now, this is a big thing we dive into in our R4 training and a lot of our other trainings as well, is trying to understand that it's less about suppressing food down and more about increasing how things function and fire within the body, removing that toxic load, increasing hormone function, okay? Trying to make sure that we're getting good quality sleep, recovery, we're breathing so we can control that autonomic nervous system. We're exercising in a way that's helpful rather than detrimental to our recovery and to our gut and our overall stress response, okay? So one huge part of that is the understanding that starting with what is that root cause, what is causing that inflammatory response. A very, very simple place that we start with all of our clients is really being able to replace, not simply remove, because we want to make sure we still enjoy food. It's not just taking everything out, to make sure that we can make these key differences, key changes in being able to move forward, feel good in our own body. And guys, we have pretty much everyone within the first 1 to 2 weeks be like, my energy is just like doubled. I feel incredible because we've simply got the body functioning and firing at a high level. Okay. And it's trying to make sure that they move forward. The reason I say pretty much everybody is because sometimes it takes a little bit longer if there's other markers coming through and we've got to address other blood work, other things that are coming out. But really it's going to be if they're following those changes and they're able to identify what those foods are causing, it's a great platform. It's a great starting place to really build from. Okay. So that's the 5 points that I want to dive over today. Like I said, it's going to be short, it's going to be sharp, it's going to be actionable. And that in itself will put you ahead of so many of the guys that are still thinking that gut health is simply probiotics and kombucha, because if the gut is not healthy, if the gut bacteria is out of balance already, adding that sort of fluff on top is not going to be helpful. If sometimes, and nearly majority of the time, it's actually going to be unhelpful because we're not really identifying what that root cause is. Okay, so like I said again, if you do want access to this gut health cheat sheet, then simply just comment below gut health cheat sheet and I will send it straight through to you, and you can go through some of these options along with what I've talked about today. Might be a really nice reminder, something that can really walk you through on that as well. Okay, there's a bonus little morning checklist on here that I think is really, really helpful, simply to build a bit of time in your day. A big thing that we've been focusing on with our clients is a bit of insight into our Meta Project program, is really trying to find time for you, right? At least 30 minutes a day. It doesn't mean exercise. It could, but it's simply 30 minutes for you, because so many guys are focused on putting everything else in their day, but they've never put time to actually allocate time for them in the day. If you want to move forward, if you want to improve your energy, if you want to get things back on track, you must be able to be selfish enough to be able to put time aside for you, because in that, by being able to put that time aside for you, actually be able to show up as your best. It's actually being selfless, because you're being able to show up and give so much more to your day, to the people you care about, the work you do, whatever it might be. So really trying to build that back up and make sure that we're giving ourselves at least 30 minutes a day. It could simply be going for a walk. It could be just chilling out with your pet. Like it's just whatever can slow things down, so you're not in this constant reactive mode of doing things for other people and feeling completely burnt out at the end of the day, or even the start of the day, and then you're really no use to anyone. Okay, so hope that's helpful. I hope that's given you a nice little base of gut health, of key aspects that very few people are talking about, because they're all trying to sell you the sexy new pill. Is really making sure we have a foundation of knowledge, a foundation of understanding of what key things actually come into account, and why what we do at the Meta Project is so holistic in nature is because we want to make sure that we're functioning and firing and our body's really just feeling awesome. When we can perform at that high level, things are feeling like they're clean, they're healthy, they're recovering, they're responding. Everything just feels so much better. Okay, so hope that was helpful, guys. Like I said, if anything, I can help with any questions. Just chop them below, and I will dive in from there. And if you want access to that cheat sheet, just comment below, and I'll send it through. Hope you're having a fantastic week. If you're watching this live, then good on you. I know it was rough with the internet outage yesterday, but we are back, and we'll be back on Thursday next week as well. So have a great night, guys. Talk soon.